Big stories of the season, storms beyond the court. Join us as we dive into basketball talk and analysis. I'm Lau Luong, and here's what's shaking in the NBA. The NBA playoffs have reached their final stage. Only two teams remain in the hunt for the championship, the Thunder and the Pacers. Looking back at the entire playoff journey, three major trends are becoming crystal clear. First, the aging legends of the NBA are slowly fading. LeBron James and his team were swept 4-0 by the Timberwolves, politely. But decisively. Stephen Curry was so exhausted after the first round. He ended up with a nerve injury in his leg. These are just some of the telling signs. Second, the new generation still hasn't fully claimed the throne. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Tyrese Haliburton stand out as bright stars. Haliburton, once voted most overrated by fellow players, has now become the most cold-blooded clutch performer in this year's playoffs. He's even on track to achieve true superstardom this season. Third, there's no such thing as a forever dominant team in this league. Last year's champions, the Celtics, are already heading toward a breakup. Every team that's pushed hard for the title over the last few years has had to completely rebuild. Because of the NBA's hard salary cap, a championship run usually triggers massive contracts, and those contracts often mark the beginning of a team's decline. This season, the Thunder were the undisputed top title contender. They finished the regular season 68-14, swept the Grizzlies 4-0 in the first round, beat the Nuggets 4-3 in a thrilling semifinal, and dominated the Timberwolves 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals. Only the Nuggets managed to put up any real resistance. But in the finals, right on their home court, Thunder lost Game 1, despite leading by 15 points in the fourth quarter, and having a 96.4% chance to win. They were stunned by Haliburton's miraculous buzzer beater. A heartbreaker. The Pacers have survived 4 near-elimination moments in these playoffs. Against the Bucks, down 7 with 35 seconds left, they came back to win. Game 2 versus the 76ers. Haliburton hit a game-winning step-back three. Against the Knicks, trailing by 14 with just 3 minutes to go. A win probability of only 0.3%, they still pulled off the impossible. And now, against the Thunder, down 15. And yet another comeback. Statistically, the odds of pulling off all 4 of these comebacks? 1 in 1.5 million. But somehow, the Pacers did it. Back to the Thunder. The Cavaliers and the Knicks had clear weaknesses. But what about the Thunder? The team many believe to be the strongest this season? Why can't they take down the Pacers? Let's look at the numbers. All season long, the Thunder have been known for closing games strong in the fourth quarter. In round 1, they crushed the Grizzlies by 51 points, just 7 points shy of the largest margin of victory in playoff history. Against the Nuggets, they lost Game 1 on a buzzer beater, but came back with a 43-point blowout in Game 2. And then won the deciding game by 32 points. Facing the Timberwolves, they also had a game with a 30-point win. When the game flows at their pace, the Thunder dominate. Their defense is like a machine gun, relentless pressure that sparks fast breaks. They thrive in chaos, pushing the tempo and capitalizing on transitions. After the Nuggets series, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, their superstar, averaged 31.4 points per game against the Timberwolves. On the surface, things looked great, but here's the truth. The Thunder struggle when playing from behind. Everyone looks good when they're ahead. In the regular season, they had 7 players averaging double digits. Giddey put up 22 points per game. Holmgren chipped in 15. And guys like Isaiah Joe, Dort, and Wiggins all contributed solid numbers. But come playoff time, only 3 players are scoring over 10 a game. Alexander, Jalen Williams, and Holmgren. The rest virtually disappeared on the scoreboard. Why? They're just too young. Aside from Alex Caruso, hardly anyone on this roster has real playoff experience. Even Alexander is still adjusting to the tighter, more physical officiating in the postseason. The Thunder don't have a reliable half-court offense. And Alexander isn't the most efficient scorer in slow-paced, grinded-out situations. His game thrives on open space, rhythm, and fast tempo. But when the game slows down, They lack creators and closers in half-court sets. Their Twin Tower lineup of Giddey and Holmgren was originally designed to counter the Mavericks. But the Mavs didn't even make the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves exploited that setup. Then came the Pacers, a team with 5 shooters who can stretch the floor and drive inside. Giddey had to be benched. Holmgren left alone to defend the paint. And that didn't end well. So when Alexander dropped 38 points in Game 1 of the finals, it shocked everyone. Because in most of their losses, he's been shut down. Game 3 versus the Timberwolves, Thunder lost by 42. Alexander had just 14 points, 4 of 13 shooting. Game 3 of the finals, he went 7 for 22. Finished with only 18 points. Even when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing his heart out, the Thunder's Twin Tower system is still a double-edged sword. When they're on the court together, the efficiency drops. But when they're benched, things get even worse. This team lacks a reliable second scoring option. Compared to Pascal Siakam on the Pacers, the Thunder are outmatched, both in size and in strength. They've had to rely on fouling just to slow him down. And Chet Holmgren? He's gone completely invisible. When your offense has to lean on Luguentz Dort or Alex Caruso to score, you've already lost the battle. This roster has some very clear limitations. And this Thunder season? It's been full of controversy. Alexander got a generous whistle from the refs. Dort committed plenty of fouls. But officials often looked the other way. And they clearly benefited from home court advantage. But let's be honest, they're just not ready to be champions. 1. Alexander doesn't have enough help. 2. The roster is still too young and raw. 3. As a team, they lack both height and physicality. Could they rise to power in the next few years? Absolutely. But this year, they just couldn't overcome the Pacers. Even a powerhouse like the Thunder couldn't handle Indy's versatility. Meanwhile, the Pacers have a deep, complete roster, from starters to bench players. Nobody on the Thunder had an answer. Their only real weapon was defensive pressure. But without scoring, that wasn't enough. The Thunder slowly crumbled. Maybe in 3 to 5 years, they'll take over the NBA. But for now, this might just be the Pacers' year. And honestly, it makes sense. They've fully embraced a everyone's a warrior approach. And with that philosophy, they're inching closer to the crown with every game. It's also a sign of the times. The superteam era, where stars band together to chase rings, is over. Just look at all the title favorites that got bounced early this season. That tells you everything you need to know. Last year's champions, the Boston Celtics, are now riddled with injuries. Jason Tatum tore a tendon, and the team is now staring down a full roster rebuild. Meanwhile, the Lakers trio of LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves, they got bounced in the first round. But the most telling stories this season come from the 76ers and the Suns. The Sixers, who were once all in with the trio of Maxey, Embiid, and Paul George, secretly started tanking toward the end of the season, just to secure the number 3 pick in the upcoming draft. Now, Paul George's contract is turning into a burden, his age catching up fast. And Joel Embiid? Perpetually injured. At this point, no one knows if he can even stay healthy for the next 3 seasons. The Sixers' championship window never opened, and it's already slammed shut. As for the Suns, their trio of Durant, Booker, and Beal managed to at least make the playoffs last year, even though they were swept 4-0 by the Timberwolves in round 1. But this year, they didn't even make the play-in. According to team insider John Gambadoro, the Suns are now expected to trade Kevin Durant before the draft, in a desperate attempt to recoup a first-round pick. At this point, Durant leaving is almost a certainty. But there's one star no one's talking about. Or more accurately, the scapegoat of the Durant era, Bradley Beal. Back in summer 2022, Beal signed a supermax contract with the Wizards. 5 years, $252 million. He's still owed $53.67 million and $57.13 million over the next 2 years. This season, Beal played just 53 games, averaging 17 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. His on-court plus-minus? -8.7, worst on the team. From starting lineup, to bench, to battling injuries, Beal has become an afterthought in Phoenix. 3 months ago, in an interview with ESPN's Tim McMahon, Beal made his stance crystal clear. "The Wizards gave me that max deal because I earned it. I belong in the superstar tier. With the Suns, anything is negotiable. I have a no-trade clause." There's no ambiguity in his message. "I don't need you to push me out. I'll leave if I want to. But I'm not the one to blame." Fast forward 3 months. Gambadoro now reports the Suns have openly stated they don't want Beal back next season. But with that ironclad no-trade clause, Phoenix is stuck. They can't move him without his approval. They don't want him. And with that massive contract, they can't build around him either. To be precise, the Suns have 2 options when it comes to Bradley Beal. Option 1. Find a team Beal would agree to be traded to. Maybe Los Angeles or Miami, somewhere warm, with playoff potential. Option 2. Buy out the remainder of his contract. Split the $110 million over 5 years to reduce salary cap pressure. But here's the catch. If Beal refuses a buyout, then the Suns have no choice but to keep him on the roster. Before this season's trade deadline, Phoenix traded away their unprotected 2031 first-round pick just to get 3 second-rounders. Basically, late first-round level talent at best. According to cap expert Bobby Marks, those second-rounders aren't enough to package Beal into a deal. Even the Miami Heat, once considered a prime destination, have made it clear they're not interested. So, whether they like it or not, the Suns may be stuck with Beal. The best-case scenario? A stretch-and-wave buyout. Spread his $110 million over 5 years. And instantly free up $27 million in cap space. That alone could make trading Durant unnecessary. But Beal's decline has been steep. Over the past 2 seasons with Phoenix, he's averaged 18 points, 4 assists, decent numbers on paper. But he's missed around 30 games per year. And his play has been wildly inconsistent. His impact? Nearly zero. And yet next season, he's due to earn top 10 salary in the league. More than Booker, LeBron, or Donovan Mitchell. This summer, Beal turns 32. He's injury-prone, clearly past his prime. Just like Draymond Green, whose value is fading. No team wants a $50 million player who can't help them win. According to analysts in the US, if Beal digs in, refuses to leave, and insists on collecting the full $110 million, then the Suns will have no choice but to tank for the next 2 years. Forget building around Devin Booker. It would be time to blow everything up and start over. And even if they decide to trade Durant, they can't unless Durant wants out himself. And if he does, Phoenix likely won't get much value back in return. Let's be honest. Beal was once a 3-time All-Star with the Wizards. He even had 2 seasons scoring over 30 points per game. He landed the Supermax. He got paid. But when it comes down to it, he was always just a high-volume scorer on a bad team. Never a true franchise cornerstone. Not even reliable enough to be a number 2 option on a contender. By the time this contract ends, his age and physical condition will scare off every serious team. And rebuilding teams? They'll have no use for him either. If he wants to keep playing, he might have to settle for a veteran minimum deal, like Russell Westbrook did. But let's be real. Beal doesn't have Westbrook's hunger or fight. If anything, he's more Ben Simmons than Brody. Right now, Beal is in a tough spot. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to think about retirement. No need to keep dragging yourself through this.